Once upon a time, in the flourishing kingdom of Danbala, there was a young prince named Zulan. Zulan was a sight to behold. His broad shoulders and piercing eyes captivated everyone who looked upon him. His presence alone commanded attention, and his charm could melt even the coldest of hearts. Despite his royal duties, Zulan was known far and wide as a restless soul. His father, King Adoro, and his mother, Queen Taluma, constantly warned him about his reckless ways, especially his weakness for the maidens of the kingdom. Zulan, his father would often say, "You are the future of Danbala. Your actions today will shape the kingdoms tomorrow. Do not let your desires bring shame to our name." But Zulan was headstrong, and the allure of the maidens was too great to resist. The maidens, too, were complicit. Many of them threw themselves at him, desperate for even a moment of his attention. To them, Zulan was not just a prince. He was a fantasy, the embodiment of everything they dreamed of. Zulan's escapades became legendary. It started with one maiden, then two, then three. Before long, whispers spread across Danbala that the prince had impregnated more than half the maidens in the kingdom. Each family tried to keep it a secret, ashamed of the scandal, but the truth could not be hidden forever. One fateful day, during a royal council meeting, an elder stood and spoke boldly. "My king," he began, "the actions of Prince Zulan are tearing this kingdom apart. Fathers are losing their honor, mothers are weeping, and maidens are being shamed. Something must be done." King Adoro, though furious, decided to give his son one last chance. That night, he summoned Zulan to the throne room. The room was dark, lit only by the flickering of torches. The air was heavy with tension. "You have brought shame upon this kingdom," the king thundered. "You have ignored every warning, and now the consequences are here. I will not allow this kingdom to fall into ruin because of your recklessness." "What would you have me do, father?" Zulan asked arrogantly, still believing he could charm his way out of the situation. "You have two choices," the king declared. "You will marry every single maiden you have wronged, or you will leave this kingdom forever, stripped of your title and inheritance." Zulan was stunned. Marry them all. The thought was unimaginable. But leaving the kingdom he loved, the kingdom he was destined to rule, was equally unbearable. Word spread like wildfire, and the maidens, each one of them pregnant with his child, were summoned to the palace. It was a spectacle unlike anything the kingdom had ever seen. Rows upon rows of maidens, dressed in colorful attire, filled the palace courtyard. Some were furious, others tearful, but many were proud, eager to claim their place as the prince's wife. Zulan's heart sank as he looked upon the crowd. For the first time in his life, he realized the gravity of his actions. These were not just faceless admirers, they were people whose lives he had disrupted. As the day of reckoning approached, Zulan tried to find a way out. He sought counsel from his closest friends, but none could offer a solution. Desperate, he turned to an old herbalist who lived on the outskirts of the kingdom. "Help me," Zulan pleaded. "There must be a way to undo this." The herbalist, a wise and mysterious woman named Maluma, stared at him for a long time before speaking. "You sowed chaos, and now you must reap it," she said. "But I will give you a choice. If you truly wish to escape, there is a potion that can erase you from the memories of everyone in this kingdom. You will live, but to them, you will no longer exist. Are you willing to pay that price?" Zulan hesitated. To be forgotten by his people, his family, and even the maidens he had wronged, it was a fate worse than death. He declined the offer and returned to the palace, ready to face the consequences. On the appointed day, the courtyard was filled with spectators. The king and queen sat on their thrones, their faces grim. The maidens stood in a line, each awaiting Zulan's decision. But before Zulan could speak, one maiden stepped forward. Her name was Lyria, and she was unlike the others. Her beauty was understated, but her presence was commanding. "Your Majesty," she said, addressing the king, "I do not wish to marry Prince Zulan. He has wronged me, yes, but I will not tie my life to someone who does not truly value me." Her words sparked a ripple of courage among the other maidens. One by one, they began to speak up, declaring their unwillingness to marry the prince. They demanded justice instead, resources to care for their children, and a formal apology from Zulan. The king, moved by their bravery, agreed to their terms. Zulan, stripped of his pride, was made to publicly apologize to each maiden. He was also tasked with working alongside the palace servants to provide for the children he had fathered. Over time, Zulan's arrogance faded, replaced by humility. He worked tirelessly to right his wrongs, and though the path to redemption was long and arduous, he grew into a wiser man. The people of Danbala, once ashamed of their prince, began to see his transformation. But Zulan never forgot the day he was faced with the consequences of his actions. The memory of the maidens, standing together in strength, haunted him as a reminder of the price of recklessness. The moral lesson of this story, that charm and beauty mean nothing without honor, and that the choices we make today will shape the lives of others tomorrow.